Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome
Hey,
to the Away with Words video cookout. We're glad to see everybody in the chat. Looks like we've got people from all around the world there, from Australia to Brazil, and Alaska, and Manitoba, Canada, and of course, people here. Hey, Sydney, welcome. Omaha, Nebraska, Montgomery, Alabama, Hollywood, Florida, and Rancho Cucamonga. How nice is that? Oh, hey, St. Louis. That's my hometown. That's where I was born. Hi, Allison. Welcome. In Duluth, Minnesota. How nice is that? Adirondacks. I love your
yeah.
chairs. They're just fantastic. Hi, Martha. How you doing, doll?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm so glad to see everybody. Tudo bem, folks in Brazil.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see Auburn, Alabama, and Huntsville. Did we have a great time in Huntsville or what
Oh,
when we were
we
there?
still talk about Huntsville. Well, we visited a
I
school there, and the
know.
kids were so delightful. They had more energy than we knew what to do with. Bienvenidos, estimados amigos, estimados oyentes, and bienvenue, mesdames et messieurs. And we are just delighted to have you here for another one of our video events. We are joined today by the president of our volunteer nonprofit board, Josh Eccles, who might pop in. There he is. Hi, Josh. Josh is the guy who's admitting you into the group, and he'll be doing some of the moderating behind the scenes, helping us pick questions and activating you. What we've done today is kind of a webinar-based setup where your mics are off and your video is off. It makes it easier when we've got this many viewers at once so that nobody's computer is overloaded with lots of, trying to display hundreds of little faces all at once, including ours. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. You are important to us, as you know. Martha and I have been talking a lot about the donations that we get that make the show possible. And it's really encouraging to see some of those faces, some of those names popping up here of people who give and support the show and make the episodes happen, episodes that are heard millions of times a year. And your donations and support, they do that. And if you want to, go to waywardradio.org/donate and give to help make the radio show and the podcast possible. We are funded in large part by our listeners. We get nothing from NPR or from any radio station, but thank you. Anyway, that's that business out of the way. Always got to do a little bit of that. By the way, we'll be picking questions. Oh, somebody says they can't hear anything.
I hear you just fine, Grant. So
Josh says in the chat, because everyone in the chat, type in the chat if you can hear fine. Okay, Elaine says she can hear fine. All right, whoever said you can't hear anything, Steve, you've got to do something on your end. Check your output in your Zoom settings. All right, good, thank you. We'll be picking some topics to talk about today from our inbox, from our mailbag, but also from the Zoom chat. So while it's really cool to see where everyone is from, now is the time to type in those questions that you'd like to get answered, and we will see what we can do. Hi, Vancouver. Oh, well, it's on my list of places to go, but I've never been.
Mine too.
Oh, where are we, Martha? Well, Martha's in her home in San Diego, and so am I in my home in San Diego. We're in San Diego, California, in different places.
City Heights.
Yeah, City Heights. Both of us trying to keep the cats out of the room. I've been listening to your podcast for about 2 years. I'm 8 years old. Dominguez. Well, you know, it's funny. We got an email the other day from somebody who is now in college and has been listening to us since they were 10. And they've been a lifelong fan. So glad to be a part of your education journey. Well, Martha, you had something that you wanted to talk about, I think, something that happened to you.
Well, I wanted to share an experience and maybe crowdsource an answer for me. I really need your help because something happened to me the other day and I need a word for it. I was out running errands and I got really, really, really hungry. And I don't usually eat cereal, but I'm kind of going through a cereal phase. Grant, do you ever do that where you like?
Yes. I'm in a
you
granola
just,
phase right now. Yeah.
oh, are you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I always add like more seeds to it and coconut flakes and lots of
mm-hmm,
stuff to make it
mm-hmm.
bulkier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I happen to be going through a cereal phase myself, and it's not Cheerios, but it looks like Cheerios. You know, it's a toasted oat kind of thing. And so I came home. I was so hungry. I couldn't wait to have a big bowl of cereal. So I put all the cereal in the bowl, and I realized we didn't have milk, but a neighbor had given us some oat milk, and I had tried it once and it was okay. Did you ever have oat milk, Grant? Did you ever
I don't.
try it?
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I like oats just fine, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same. I was kind of on the fence, but I wanted to eat this cereal. So I start pouring the oat milk in, you know, I get this carton of oat milk. I start pouring it into the bowl and it looks kind of dark. And I thought, oh, well, of
Uh-oh.
course, oat milk. I got to get used to it, you know, and shake it up. So I shook it up, poured it in again, and it still was kind of dark. And I thought, oh, well, I'm so hungry. And so I got a big spoon, took a big spoonful of those Cheerios, stuck it in my mouth, and it was terrible. And what I realized was that this
Hold
is
it
the
up.
oat milk.
It's blurred. Hold it to the middle of the camera.
To the middle of the camera, like
Yeah, right
that?
there. Yeah.
Right where my face is? Okay,
Yeah.
this is the oat milk, but this is what I put on my Cheerios. The oat milk and the vegetable broth look awfully similar. And of course, I immediately thought of A Way with Words and A Way with Words listeners, because I thought there has got to be a word for this feeling. You know, you're anticipating, and then you just, you know, you take a bite and
Yeah.
it was not what you thought, you know, whether literally or metaphorically. And I'm really hoping that folks can crowdsource an answer for me.
It's called Alexa, make me an appointment with the optometrist. Did you finish it? I mean, it's edible, maybe
Heck
not yummy.
no. Heck no. No. Well, I mean, I like vegetable broth. I like Cheerios, but whew, it was such an awful combination. So I'm hoping that somebody says, you think that was bad? Try a vegetable broth latte.
Karen Bell says she sprinkled raw quinoa on her salad instead of hemp seeds on her salad. Yeah, that's gonna work.
Ooh.
Raw quinoa. I don't want any part of that. Somebody used comino instead of cinnamon, cumin, I guess. Ufta. Yeah. Oh, there's a German word for that. Larry Smallheiser says, not expecting that kite. Hey, we had somebody ask about larapin in the thread, Martha. That's an FAQ, right?
Oh, that's a good one. Are y'all in Oklahoma? Who asked about that?
I'm looking right now. It's all scrolling by so fast. Oh yeah, it was Nathan Barnett. He's from Alabama. He says his father from South Mississippi uses it often. He says, what is the origin of larapin? It means delicious. Well,
yes.
It can mean delicious, but it's got a little broader application than that, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It means strikingly so. Like I mean, I usually hear it in relation to food. You know, like Ma, that was larapin good pie. It comes from a Dutch word that means to beat or strike, and we have a lot of words in English that have to do with something that's really great. You know, don't that beat all, or strikingly so. But we usually, when people talk about that word, they're usually talking about having heard it in Oklahoma. So that's
I wonder why that is.
I don't know, because of the Dutch origin, but you know, Oklahoma, North Texas. But yeah, it's a good one. LARRAPIN, usually apostrophe.
Yeah, not usually with the G, because it's too much of a country or casual word, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you, those
what?
Cheerios were larapin bad. I don't know if you can say that, but
you could have a larapin good outfit or a larapin good party, not just a larapin good pie, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you could say we're having a larapin good time right now.
Yeah, I think so. Michael, I don't know if it's Buccino or Buccino. He wants to know about the pronunciation of forte. Well, is it fort or forte? Did it change from a French fort to an Italian forte because of musical annotation? This could cause fistfights. I don't know. I don't know if I really want to talk
Oh,
about this. It's a hard one, right? Because there's what people
right.
do, and then there's etymology. Should
Mhm.
etymology drive pronunciation?
Not always. I
Not
wouldn't
always.
say so. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do, Martha? Do you say that's not his forte, or do you just avoid the word to avoid the drama?
Honestly, that is one of the words that I avoid. I just say it's not his strong point because I grew up learning it as forte, but it's from the French fort, right? It has to do with
I
the
believe
strong
so.
part. I think it has to do with the strong part of a fencing foil. You know, you got the foible, which is the weak part,
Hmm.
and then the
I'm
fort.
not too worried about the the pronunciation that somebody has, but
Ah,
so much as like why it would have switched. I think of our familiarity with musical annotation as being the reason why people say forte, because that's where they would have seen the word. And
Yeah.
if etymologically it comes from the French, then when it's anglicized, since we are only familiar with musical notes, then we say forte.
Yeah. 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 Anglicization is not consistent, that's for sure. And certainly French has a lot more influence on English than Italian does. But as you say, Italian is where Italian in music, if you've taken piano, you've run across the word forte, right? You just know it. It means play
mhm.
strongly or play loudly in this particular passage. It's written right there. Um, but yeah, your original thoughts on this, I think, are solid. That it probably came into English as French, but the pronunciation changed because of Italian. And I'm with Martha. I just avoid saying it because I could be called stupid for either pronunciation, so I can't really win.
Yeah, it's one of those skunked words, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
foyer,
Like
foyer,
foyer.
foyer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, I see a note from Marcia in the chat. She says that my experience was a bite and switch. Very good.
Oh, bite and switch. Oh, I do love that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Somebody else asked about the English term moggy, this is Nancy. I don't know how you say your name, Nancy. It's Oseason. Oseason? Oseason? Oh, I love it. I love a mystery. Nancy says, it seems that we're both cat people. True, Ilurophiles. Have you any idea where the British term moggy, moggy, for cat comes from? Well, I'll tell you,
Mm,
Nancy, the best guess that anyone has is that it comes as a variant of Maggie, which is short for Margaret. So since Maggie is a pet name, then Moggy is also a pet name, a nickname. So not really sure. Lots of nicknames are mysteries. It's hard to say. What else is going on here? Martha, we had a couple great emails that I thought were worth sharing. One of them came from Megan Cortinas in Dallas. I know you're going to appreciate this. This is the this week at the Texas Rangers game, a fan ran across the field mid-game. My friend sent me a video of the event and said, "We got a streaker." I told him it's not a streaker if the man running was fully clothed. It feels wrong to call the action streaking since he was fully clothed. Would the man simply just be a runner, or is the term streaker still valid? Do you have to be naked to be a streaker, Martha?
you're asking me? Does
Well,
one
given
have to
your
be?
experience as a
Wait,
streaker.
what? Not since I was 2 years old.
No Padres games with Martha running down the middle? No?
Maybe a fundraiser. No, no. You know, I this is just my personal feeling, Grant. I if I'm gonna streak, I don't want clothes on. I think I mean, I know that you can use the word streak to mean a runner, but
Yeah.
I remember when streaking became a thing in the early 1970s, and of course there was the Ray Stevens song. They call him the streak. Look at it, look at it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Or were you too young for that one?
No, I remember that. Yeah, they played the
Don't
heck out of
look,
that. There we
Don't
go.
look,
He ain't
Ethel.
wearing no clothes.
Yeah, so I associate streaking with being naked. Are you going to tell me that lexicographically I'm wrong?
No, I
What's your
don't. I
sense?
think this is a semantic question. I think it's a, yeah. You mean from as a dictionary editor? Would I?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think this is for the community to help us with. I'm sure there's lots of opinions, and that's one thing we've learned about our listeners. They're not shy about expressing
Nope.
opinions, and we thank you for that. It keeps our email inbox busy, and our voicemail inbox busy, and social media busy, and even the postal mail. We get letters.
Yeah.
I'm still working my way up thread. I'm going to pop down in a minute. I'm popped down to the new stuff in a minute. But David Heffer, Heffer, had a great question. David Heffer had a great question. He wanted to know what we think about the debate in Australia at the moment about whether plant-based milks can be called milk. So this relates to your oat milk question, Martha. So is MILK okay for like almond milk or oat milk, or do you have to call it something like MYLK? And I guess we could broaden this to talk about burgers. Is a veggie burger really a burger? I mean, we could talk about this to the end of time.
Yeah, let's not do that. But I'm in the camp that the word milk can be expanded to other things because it's extracted from, well, in this case, oats. In my case, it was oats. I mean, it definitely didn't taste like milk. But how interesting that this debate is going on in Australia. Is this a trademark issue, I wonder?
Well, it's happening here in the United States as well, where producers of milk and producers of meat are seeing their sales diminish, and so they're trying to exclude the competitors by excluding that naming, so that there's no doubt whatsoever. So they're just, so you don't even think of these grain-based products when you think of meat or you think of milk. It's really a business effort more than it is a semantic one, I think.
Right. But isn't that sort of the natural process of language? That
it is. Well, and language is so very figurative. Figurative language is kind of a key part of every language. There's literal and there's figurative, and they go hand in hand. And somebody else, Peggy Haas, points out what comes out of the milkweed plant is milk, right? You know, when you break the stem or dandelion stem even.
Right.
Yeah. And somebody else says a burger could mean anything. What about my salmon burgers, you know? Or if I go to Maryland and have a crab cake and they want to call it a crab burger, am I left out now? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh dear. We're not going to get into the what's a sandwich debate.
Yeah. Oh, so, Oriana Fisher says, I'm a scientist and have always loved the word aliquot, ALIQOT, to describe equally portioning out a stock of something. What's the origin of this word? And isn't it, and I think she meant to write, why isn't it used more widely? Oh, that is a fantastic word. I don't know this word, and I'm going to have to look this up. It's ALIQUOT.
So is the alley other?
Oh,
Is it
what's that?
other? I'm thinking the alley is like other or something like that.
Beautiful.
Other what?
Yeah, yes, exactly. A Latin, a number of, or several. How many?
Let me jump. So, Oriana, do you want to jump in and give us a little more context? It's funny you mentioned this because I was just Tuesday talking to coworkers about the importance of knowing that word for talking to scientists. So it's very timely. I'll take this back.
That's fantastic.
Sure. So I didn't even realize that it wasn't a commonly used word until at one point I was talking to a friend who isn't a scientist and made some comments about how I was making soup and I was going to aliquot it so we'd have, portions in the freezer. And she looked at me like, what is this word meaning? And it was only at that point that I realized that it wasn't even, something that most people are familiar with. And ever since then, I've been wondering, why is it only used by scientists? I think I love the way it sounds. And it's something where now that I'm teaching also, and often the first year students don't know what it means. And then at some point it just becomes like such a part of the vocabulary of scientists. And I feel like there isn't an equivalent word that we can use for that in English.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm looking at a book called Prime Numbers, The Most Mysterious Figures in Math by David Wells. And he talks about the aliquot parts of a number, and these are its proper divisors, meaning the divisors apart from the number itself. And he describes aliquot parts as being old-fashioned, but it doesn't sound like it's old-fashioned where you work.
No, it's just, I use it multiple times a day, and I think it's pretty common, especially in biology and chemistry.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I think we all learned a little something here today. What do you say, Martha?
Definitely. Thank you. Yes, yes.
And
And
if you have any more information about it, I would be so curious.
well, you
Like-
know, we're
like,
going to be
what do you need
digging
to
that
know?
up.
So your goal is to evangelize this so that everybody uses it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a noble effort. I'm behind that, right?
Holy moly. You know, I gotta say, this is just such a great example of the wonderful way that our listeners teach us. I'm so conscious all the time of what a privilege it is to do this show, because I mean, Grant and I have so many things that we're enthusiastic about, but we get this big wave of the same thing from all of you. And it's just such a gift, and we're grateful.
Yeah,
I'll
it
toss
looks
one
like
more similar word in there called assay, which I didn't know before working with the scientists as well, which is, essentially performing a test, usually using a fancy instrument that's used just ubiquitously like aliquot, but
Yeah, assay, ASSAY. I use that and people look at me funny, but I do love it. An assay is kind of like a survey of your what you're about to do before you actually do it, right? Something like that.
yeah, I think that's a general term, general usage, and then the scientific, I've got an aliquot that I'm putting into an instrument, and it's giving me results out, like a blood test or something like that.
Oriana, I wanted to tell you that I'm looking and so I have this big database of materials I've been collecting over the last 20 to 25 years, and so I can look at that right now. This is what I use to prepare for the show, and it looks like it is aliquot might be used by lawyers still, of course. They would love a Latin term. Yeah, that's medicine and law, maybe.
Let's see. Hopefully you're back, Grant. For me, your connection was breaking up, but
Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe it was at my end, but we were losing Grant there, eh?
Yeah.
So Judy says assay is what an assessor did to determine the quality of ore from miners. Yeah, okay. Somebody else said Grant's connection was breaking up too. Wow. Well, this is really exciting to be learning these new terms. Josh, did you have another comment on that?
Nope. I think that's great for now, and let's get some other questions, I guess.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, in the meantime, let me share a couple of an email that we got from a listener that I really enjoyed. This was Roxanne in Michigan, because we were talking on the show about how you make time for reading. It's so hard to find time sometimes to just sit down and enjoy a good book. And she said, as someone who has finished 4 books in the last week and who reads anywhere from 30 to 70 books per year, and as someone who's a very slow reader, she says she carries a book wherever she goes. And she writes, driving and stuck by a long train, it's reading time. We have tea at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. again, reading time. Every morning I read to wake up, and in the evening to put me to sleep. Every break from work is reading time. And then Roxanne goes on to add, I got into the habit of cracking a book open whenever I sat down or was waiting for things to begin. I've taken books to concert halls and doctors' offices. And then she concludes by saying, As my grandfather used to say, I never read unless I'm alone or with somebody, which I think is a great way to talk about reading. Well, let me, while we're waiting for Grant, let's see some more questions here.
You're back.
Somebody's asking, what's that?
Sorry.
Grant's
I'm back. Sorry.
Excellent.
Grant's back. We missed you, Grant.
Yeah, sorry about that. Zoom barfed out on me. I don't know what happened.
Well, I was
actually-
just looking. Yeah, go ahead.
You go.
Well, I was just looking at a question and now I lost it. Somebody was asking about by the skin of my teeth, where we get that phrase. Who was asking that? Oh, there it is. Kit Basley. Are you around, Kit? I'm curious why you were wondering about the phrase by the skin of my teeth.
I just hear it periodically. I heard it on a TV show the other day, and I've just heard people say it, and I've said it probably, but it just like such an odd thing to say.
And it is a weird one. So what does it mean to you when you say something happened by the skin of my teeth or whatever?
Like I just barely got away with it. I just barely did it.
Yeah, I'm a preacher's kid, and so I happen to know that it comes from the Bible. I believe it comes from the book of Job. Job 19:20, my bone cleaveth to my skin and to my flesh, and I am escaped with the skin of my teeth. I'm not sure what the Hebrew was there. So maybe it was used, in terms of skin, flesh.
It doesn't
and
have anything to do with
bones.
gums. I thought maybe it had something to do with gums.
Oh, the skin that's around your teeth? No, I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
it has to do with just the utter thinness, and it goes all the way back to the Bible.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Sure.
There's a
Who else?
really
Go
good
ahead.
question from Seal Flores about the word lottie. They write, my mom calls dolls, like toy dolls or stuffed dolls, a lottie, L-O-T-T-Y. She says it's Dutch. We are of Dutch descent, but I haven't come across it anywhere else. Where does lottie come from? And you know what? I don't know. I've actually looked while I was listening there in a great book called Cookies, Coleslaw, and Stoops, The Influence of Dutch on North American Languages. This is by Nicole van der Sis. We've talked about this on the show before. It's not in there. I do know that Lottie tends to be a nickname for Charlotte. So I was wondering if maybe your mom had a doll when she was a girl called Charlotte that she nicknamed Lottie. I was just wondering about that. So maybe? I don't know.
That could be.
I always like
I
the
see-
ones that we don't know the answer to, but
Oh yeah.
they're the least satisfying for everyone else, but they're the most satisfying for me.
Yeah, because it means we have our work cut out for us, and we know how we're going to be spending our evening, just going down one rabbit hole or another. I see that Dave Fletcher is asking, before there were clocks, how did people refer to turning something clockwise or counterclockwise?
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I'm not sure how long clocks have been around, but I do know that we have a couple of older terms for going in one direction or the other. And now I'm probably gonna misremember which is which, but going diesel, D-E-A-S-I-L is one way, and widdershins is the other way.
Yeah, widdershins is counterclockwise, and so diesel is clockwise.
Okay. And I forget why it's called diesel. I think I knew that at one time.
It's D-E what? D-E-A?
D-E-A-S-I-L.
Yeah, which is, by the way, a good name, I think. Oh, and by the way, some people, they would use sunwise also, because people knew which direction the sun went, depending what kind of hemisphere you were in.
Sure, that's interesting.
Or they might talk about hand-wise, because right-hand-wise, you're more likely to do this.
Tighty, righty, lefty, loosey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, pronounced Dazel. Hazel notes.
Dazel, really?
Well, she says Daosil, no. Diesel, according to all the dictionaries I'm looking at. Oh, I see Merriam-Webster has both pronunciations.
Oh, really?
Looks like
Okay.
it looks like the Scots pronunciation may have been variable as well.
Scots. Okay. Yeah, I learned it as Deasil. And that's one of the wonderful things about a show like this is we just have so much stuff like that in our heads that it's great to share it with fellow word lovers.
Looks like Dazel may have come into English from Scottish Gaelic. And there are similar words in Irish Gaelic, and you can teach the related words in Welsh and Breton and other Celtic languages. Perhaps even going as far back as Latin dexter, which means right.
I was wondering about that. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. What do people, Richard wants to know, what do people call that pile of stuff on the floor that you sweep into the dustpan? This makes, we've talked on the show, haven't we, Grant, before about all these terms for dust bunnies. I know there's a French one that I think translates as sheep, mouton or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and ghost turds, I think, in in regional English, as I recall. But I know that there are a lot more of those. Somebody says debris.
Well, yeah, but that's no fun.
Dust. Yeah.
Oh, Fran's got a big question. Do you think there's one proto-first original language? Oof. No way to know. I mean, we could speculate till the cows come home, but let's just say that communication, not language, exists in many animals. They are able to get messages or ideas to each other that don't look like human language, but things like danger or stop or I'm angry or come with me, things like that. So communication has existed for a long time. So probably human language had a variety of forms before it coalesced into what it is today. That is the consensus of linguists who study that sort of thing.
Let's see. Howard says he'd love to see what Grant's library looks like.
Well, unfortunately, it's in a bit of disarray right now. Since Martha and I, since the pandemic started, we started recording this show at home. And in order to provide some soundproofing here, I've kind of turned some of my bookshelves into sound barriers. And so they're not readily accessible and nor are they pretty. But I do have lots of books, probably several thousand. And I have been shifting to a digital library more and more, trying to replace my physical copies with digital copies. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of stuff that does not exist in digital form. No way, no how. Has never been digitized, will never be digitized unless I do it myself. So I will have some paper for a long time. Oh, that's just is the green stuff behind me? No, that's just a fake image for Zoom. I have a green screen behind me because otherwise there's a soundproofing sheet behind it that you would see. Zooming from Wrigley Field. No, it's a cookout. We're outside on the grass. Get it? Virtual background. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Oh, somebody asked about coddywomple. Courtney Bain, I would like you to tell us about coddywomple, meaning wanderer. What? Where did you bought a hat called a coddywomple? What does that mean? Where did you, what? I don't even know anything about coddywomple. That's too good though. Coddywomple. I mean, that's like a great insult. That's like something you'd get away with calling your dad.
I know. It looks like a dad's hat too. It's a little bit private investigator, a little bit of a dad hat.
Okay.
I got it on South Congress at a secret garage shop, actually off of South Congress, it's kind of like a speakeasy for hats, I guess you would say. And I've never heard that word before. So I wondered if you had any info on it. I think I looked it up on Urban Dictionary. It seemed like a new kind of a word. I don't know if that's correct, but what do you know?
I got nothing on that. I see we got one email about it in January from Paul Tiffany, who wanted to know more about it. But
Oh, wow.
all he wrote was a new word for me, coddywomple. That's it. Thanks, Paul. That was very helpful.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I
and it
mean,
looks like,
we know collywobbles, when
Yeah.
it's like having the mully grubs. It's a sort of
Like shivers or
indistinct,
something?
or just, an upset stomach or something. You got the
Oh.
collywobbles or the borborygmus or the
Oh, I don't know any of those words. They're all so fun to say.
yeah, I don't know that hat. We should do a whole show on hat words, Grant. I think we could
Yes.
probably,
Oh, I
pork
would
pie,
love-
and
hat
fedora,
words.
fedoras. Well,
We
or
could
at
also
least
wear
a segment of the show. Yes, yes.
We should have
Yeah.
another grill out with just hats and their names.
That would be fabulous. I think it was Fran who asked if we could do this once a month. I really like that idea. And the other
Could
thing
be.
too is we've seen folks from Huntsville and other Dallas, other places that we've gone to do live shows. And boy, it would be really great to come to every single person's city there. We'd love to get to Vancouver and Norfolk, Virginia. We're looking at you. So let us know if you can think of a way to get us to your city. We would love to come visit. But in the meantime, Grant, I love Fran's idea of doing this on a more regular basis.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're interested, I'm going to send out a survey to everyone who signed up for this today. And if you're interested in seeing us on other platforms, so for example, if you're on Twitch or YouTube, or there's some other platform besides Zoom, because we're all a little zoomed out after the pandemic, we're up for that. So we're capable. Yeah, David's got some great definitions of coddywomple here, but it's really, it's CODDIWOMPLE, as I discovered as well. I'm looking at a data breach investigations report from 2019 from the Defense Nuclear Facilities Safety Board, and they use it. They use the word coddywomple. We sincerely thank you for once again taking time to dig into our InfoSec coddywomple that is now culminated in a decade of nefarious deeds. I think they just threw it in there to be ridiculous. Why would you put it in a formal document like that? I don't even know.
This is my new favorite word. Thank you.
We are coming up on the end of this, aren't we, Martha?
What? Already? There should be a word for that. Something being over too soon.
Somebody says, Hazel W says she was going to send me a copy of the Dictionary of Southern Legislative English.
Wow.
But apparently it's out of print, a collector's item, and way expensive. Well, don't let that stop you. I might have it. My first dictionary was a not so good dictionary of political English, but at the time I collected a bunch of stuff. But thank you for reminding me of that, and I'll put it on my list of things to find. You kind of put those alerts out there and see what comes cheap. Oh, Steve wants to know where his burger is. Sorry, bud. It's a figurative. So
that dictionary has quotes that supposedly were actually said in Congress or in the legislature in the South. And the couple that I can remember, one is that somebody jumped over their chair, and that jumped. It's very descriptive. It's different from just tipping over.
Absolutely. Tump is a great one. And you go to other parts of the country and people do not know that word. Have you had that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, tump.
Oh yeah, I might actually have this somewhere. I recognize the cover of it. I'll have to look more closely. All right, we've got a couple more minutes and then we're done. There's a real general question here that I think deserves to be answered. Frederick Fust, I'm not sure how you say that, Frederick, I'm sorry. How long have you been doing the show? Well, we took the show over from our local radio station in 2007. Martha and I both joined the show before that. I did in 2006 and she in 2005. But we have been running it as a nonprofit ever since with our producer, Stephanie Levine. Hi, Stephanie, with whom we could not do this show. And it's been, I hate to use a cliche, but a labor of love ever since.
Well, that's
It
great.
really has
I've
been.
been listening from the beginning, I guess, then.
With the earlier guys, the previous hosts.
No, only with you guys.
Oh yeah, well that's better.
Nice. Well, you have a mellifluous voice. Maybe if one of us is out for the day, do you do any kind of singing or anything?
No, I wish I did. I've been told that before. I must have
Have
missed
you?
the calling. Yes.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
getting naughty in the thread. They're talking about bloody and bugger. I think it's time to sign
Oh
off.
boy.
Hey, it does look like the response that we got to this was so positive that we will be doing this again soon. So do fill out the survey that we send tomorrow to let you know, to let us know exactly what you want from this, what you want from us on these. This was really good fun. The fact that you came to listen to us goof off and you submitted your questions both here and chat. And by the way, we're going to save this whole chat so we can go through it and use it to plan future episodes of the show. So your words are not lost they're not in vain. We do keep this stuff and we will discuss it tomorrow and in future days. So this is all good. Oh, the quiz guy, we'll try to get him on a future one. John Chinesky is hilarious and you'll love him. Thank you all for coming today. Martha, it's always a delight to play around here with you.
It is. It's great to be here and hang with you and kindred spirits. So thank you all for coming, and let's do it again.
And don't forget, we are a nonprofit, and if you'd like to donate to keep the show on the air and in your podcast feeds, you can go to waywardradio.org/donate, and we would appreciate it very much. Our show is supported in large part by its listeners, and that means you. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Andrea.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.